Welcome to the Blue Oasis Podcast. This is the podcast for finding peace and prosperity, learning the history of hobbies, as well as developing a little side hustle. If you want to find peace and prosperity in your life, this is your show. Get ready. You're listening to the Blue Oasis Podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. Welcome into the Blue Oasis Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rothstein. So today I do want to talk about video, the power of video, and even though that this is going to be an audio recording, I thought it would be a good idea to do. So, let's talk video. When we tell a story, when we show what we mean, it's powerful. And video has been probably one of the best things to ever happen in the 19th century. And yes, I'll count the little thing with that kind of like had the, it kind of was like a jack-in-the-box thing, like, you know, you would grind it like sort of like you were sharpening your pencil with the old pencil sharpener things. It kind of was like that, and there even were some pencil sharpeners with that like little movie projector where you grinded it up sort of thing. So ever since that, we've had a lot of, it's been revolutionary since then. I mean, before the internet, you really couldn't do much with it. There was a film called The Ball Game, and it was just like a shot of someone getting a single in the late 1800s. But yet, to see that on screen was revolutionary, and it just showed you, oh, so that's what happens when someone gets a hit, and now we've recorded this guy getting a hit, and it's going to live on forever, and because we put it on the internet. Now, when we got to movies, when we got to animation, seeing these fun things like Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie, seeing all that, it changed the game of like, oh, we don't necessarily need to just film a human being. We can actually just make our own things and just put it frame by frame. And that's what happened over the course of video history, was that it was frame by frame animation. And with the old little film strips, they just recorded one shot, they did another shot of it, and it's kind of amazing how they did all that back in the day, and it was just with the animation, and even with the photos, like they did the real thing with the red lights, the red light room, and they put it in that liquid sort of thing. That's sort of how they developed the photos back in the day. That certainly was part of the video too, if you can believe that. After the by the 40s, or I guess we'll count 1939 with Judy Garland and the Wizard of Oz, we actually did get to see color. Supposedly it was too expensive, but even during the original War of the Worlds, the Orson Welles War of the Worlds back in the 50s, and I did see that as a kid too. That actually was really fun to watch now that I think of it. And it showed that, color was amazing too, and that it just also gave depth to the story too. So, and like how things worked. I mean, the green in the Wicked Witch of the West and the green of the alien spaceships, lasers in War of the Worlds certainly conveyed, showed you how terrifying things were. And I mean, if you were a kid watching either of those films, I get it. It was terrifying. Whether it was the witch terrorizing that town in the on the yellow brick road, or the aliens terrorizing the people. It really did show you that message. So when you got to color, it was there. The 70s special effects really began to take off. You had Jaws, you had Star Wars, and you also still had Rocky too. Not really much in the special effects, because you actually can see them fake it when Apollo was jabbing Rocky. You really can see how bad it was, like how bad they did it, and even his uppercut didn't make sense too. Like I could see like there was still space between his fist and his jaw, like the boxing glove in his jaw, and it was so poorly done. Now, like it would not pass in like Hollywood studios. You'd be kicked out too. Police Squad, the TV show, and now I guess we're talking about TV, but it's all video. It's all recorded, and then it's just played back through TV or movies. They actually got some special effects done right, but there's this one shot of a guy who punches his own shadow, and his shadow falls down, and they like really make it work with the frame by frame animation, and they just put 2 frames over each other, and somehow it worked out too. Back in the day, and they did that without computers, but mind you. But when the 90s coming with like Toy Story, did it really begin to take off, saying, because you actually had things filmed and just like models working in that way, and it was really primitive, and all the kids were the same. Actually, oddly enough, they were the same person. It was just different shades of color, because like they really didn't have much to model after, and it was really expensive in the 90s because this is new technology. You don't know what you're doing. You don't really know how to save these files in a certain way or just customize them, and that's understandable. The next, once we got to 2005, Revenge of the Sith, they really got this movie right. It still holds up today. When Obi-Wan's fighting General Grievous, it looks like there's a real roboticized alien, and you see his organs when he rips up his chest and takes it down. It's like you really believe it, and that's powerful. Like you see everything, and it just really works together. Like it makes it look like, oh, this actually happened, even though we know it didn't happen, or suppose it maybe it did in a galaxy far, far away. Haha, funny. But it like really shows you like that, oh, this really did work, and it doesn't look CG at all. And this is 2005, mind you, of everything. I definitely now what can you do with video? You can record yourself on a cell phone. You can record yourself on a laptop. You can buy a Sony camera and like a 4K camera, and that really can change your world with everything and that's powerful too, because most people, if they listen to something, they'll listen to it passively. If you show them, charts, graphs, even just your face, they'll be in on the ride too, and that's something that an audio podcast can't just deliver. Now, recently, I was experimenting with the video of my other podcast, the Adam Rothstein Hockey Podcast, and that was, and I'll leave a link to episode 16 in the show notes or description, and that one actually just changed so much, changed my world, that I have video like Joe Rogan does too, because I used Anchor.fm for that one. I'm still on Spreaker with Blue Oasis, and that is something powerful. Like just going over the graph, showing yourself, and also it's an alternate to YouTube and anything else. Putting your videos out there, and it's a different algorithm too. Like if someone searches hockey, they'll get different results on YouTube than they will on Spotify, and so on and so forth. I do think that we're gonna, video is gonna become the next big thing, and supposedly it's gonna be with VR or in the metaverse. I'm not gonna be using the metaverse, and I don't recommend you all to do that. It's not worth it. MP4s, .mlvs are fine. They're fine enough. And there's no real benefit into going to the metaverse. I don't think I'll ever go there. I don't see it. Like, if any of you do, feel free to message me out on YouTube or something, or I'll leave something where you can contact me. But I don't believe in in the metaverse at all. It's not worth it there. Now, let's get into YouTube a bit. YouTube has been around since 2005, and it gave the average person a chance to be someone and just put their face on camera. And yes, of course, there were people that just used it to upload music files and then just put the lyrics to something with those old Microsoft video editors, and then they get 1 million views like Snap. That was the easiest way to do it back then. But actually showing off yourself and lip syncing was something entirely different. And I guess that sort of caught its wave. And then you also had the response videos back in the day when you actually could put a response video too. I do think that was probably the biggest mistake YouTube ever made, was that they got rid of the video responses. Why in the heck would you ever do that? And just getting the context too. Unless you were searching this out, did you actually see the responses after about 2012, 2013? And that was damaging too. Like you could come across a video that you think is great, but then it turns out it's crap because these points were not addressed, or they defamed someone or lied about someone, and then the person with the video response just never gets heard from, and that's a shame, because we could that's actually one of the easiest ways to manipulate, is that things do get hidden, and we do need easy things to access so that we can make determinations for ourselves. In fact, if anything, I'll go back to the Vietnam War back in the 70s. That's kind of how we ended the Vietnam Wars, because we were shown how bad it was, and we were using Agent Orange and napalm, and we were bombing innocent civilians. The United States did some horrible things back in the day, and I mean, and you can compare, and it's and yet that's still nothing today. I think you all know that I'm anti-war at this point, and this technology was so bad, and to see all this, and even now up to the Predator drones, just shows you how, it can show you how aggressive our military can be, and yeah, I think we will get to a point where people are going to wake up with video, and people have their minds changed all the time, and I do hope that we do get to a better place of peace and prosperity, and we're not necessarily we're not in this corporatized world where and this entanglement between government and corporation. We need a wall between that. Okay, but that's a bit of a side note. Now back to video. Seeing this, and actually, there are many things you can edit with Adobe products, DaVinci Resolve. In fact, I think DaVinci Resolve is going to be the best for any beginner, and you don't have to pay a subscription fees. You can get all the basic tools you need with the video editor, and you can learn it as well. And you don't even have to go to Skillshare.com. You can go onto YouTube University to learn all this stuff and the power of everything. And also just playing around with it too helps, and it certainly eases some difficulty. I'll say that. It's very simple to use once you get the hang of it. And if you've ever edited video before, there's a lot of similarities I found with the Adobe Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve, so that was a little bit of an added benefit. I learned how to normalize the audio as well. And also, you can delete some audio. You can mute a clip, and then you can just add in your own audio and then just overlay it too. I liked it. Some things got a little frustrating to work with when I was like moving some clips one time for this Ray Bork video that I still did not finish, but I will. And I'll definitely put that somewhere as well. And I guess that is still something powerful too. I might put the Patrick Waugh and eventually the Ray Bork video out on Anchor.fm, and then it would just go on Spotify. And guess what? That's more people seeing what I can do, and just like learning everything, learning the basics. And Spotify has done a great job. I'm not gonna lie, putting audiobooks on there and being able to put your videos on there. There's nothing like it. Now, how do we make money from this? Well, we can certainly put things on YouTube. We can start a podcast with video, and you can go on to Anchor.fm or Spreaker or anything that has monetization capabilities with it. There's that. I also think that you can certainly go and work that 9 to 5. You can certainly work some contract work on Upwork or some place like that, or Fiverr. And also build up your portfolio too. Learn everything there is about After Effects or an alternative to that, DaVinci Resolve, Adobe, the whole 9 yards. I definitely think, and if someone wants to, if you have someone who's into real estate or something, here's what you do. Ask, can we, if you have someone who films this and you want them to take the shots, let me edit this and let me get some work experience under my belt, and then use them as a reference to get a new job and apply. I think that's an incredible idea of just getting started. And if you get into animation, that's a whole nother thing. And you can definitely go into Skillshare and learn about animation as well. I say just go there and get that for $10 a month. So, I guess that will conclude it. I'll leave some links down in the show notes. Stay tuned. I guess I'm back for at least for a little while. And I will have some more interviews coming up. So stay safe, stay great. I'll talk to you all in the next episode.